Europe has no idea what's coming, but Chelsea fans? They just got their first warning, because every once in a while, a player emerges who doesn't announce himself with flashy skill or highlight reel moments, but with something far more dangerous: control, presence, authority. And that's exactly what Andrey Santos brought. 42 passes, 81% accuracy, 7 duels won, duels that look like they belong to him, 4 interceptions, 4 clearances, 4 recoveries. He pressed with the hunger of a man trying to reclaim his career and moved the ball with the calmness of a veteran who has nothing left to prove. In 90 minutes, he made Chelsea fans understand something they weren't expecting. This kid isn't here to survive. He's here to take a place in the team by force. Fans are already reacting online, calling him man of the match. He bossed the midfield like he owned the turf.
But Andrey Santos really ran the show today. A man of the match performance that was. He had an absolute phenomenal game.
Others are calling it the best performance of Andrey Santos' young Chelsea career, saying he fully deserved MOTM and even gave Caicedo the rest he needed.
Yeah, he played a pivotal role in this game today in terms of breaking the play up, in terms of ensuring that he was the last line of protection.
The same player who bounced from loan to loan, who fought his way through Brazil, France, and Premier League setbacks, who became just another name in football's most expensive waiting room. He's suddenly showing flashes of the next great Chelsea midfielder. Some say he's the modern Essien. Some say he's Chelsea's missing box-to-box engine. But here's what those numbers don't tell you. This isn't just about one game. It's about the long road here, the struggles nobody saw, the fight to return, and the statement he made when Chelsea needed him the most.
Yeah, so I'm very happy to be here in Chelsea in the Premier League. So you know that big competition for me is the most hard in the world. It's so hard to play the Premier League, and I'm so happy to come back here with my adaptation in the Premier League.
But one good performance doesn't erase the questions. Questions Chelsea still hasn't answered. Questions that go beyond one player, beyond one match, beyond one moment. Is this his breakthrough? Or is this just another chapter in football's most expensive waiting room? This is the rise of Andrey Santos, and why Europe should start paying attention before it's too late. Let's go back to where it all started. Rio de Janeiro, a city where football is oxygen, where a ball can take you places life refuses to offer. Inside this city sits Bangu, and inside Bangu sits Vila Aliança, a community that rarely makes the news for anything good. But it's where Andrey Nascimento dos Santos was born on May 3rd, 2004. Andrey didn't enter football the glamorous way. He entered it because he had a problem. At 4 years old, Andrey was overweight. His family, especially his grandmother Sueli, enrolled him in futsal simply to help him lose weight. Not to make him a footballer, not to chase a dream, just to help a kid get healthy. But futsal became his entire foundation: close control, one-touch thinking, decision-making in impossible spaces. The traits that define him today, anticipation, intelligence, timing, were all built in those small futsal courts. At 7 years old, Andrey left the local courts for something bigger: Vasco da Gama, one of the great cradles of Brazilian football. The same academy that shaped Felipe Coutinho, Douglas Luiz, Alan, Alex Teixeira, and so many others. Andrey joined the youth school inside the São Januário complex, Colégio Vasco da Gama, a real academic institution where players study and train in the same environment. They educated him. They fed him. They gave his struggling family stability. Years later, Andrey would say, "I finished my entire formation at Vasco. I studied here. They gave me food, education, and made me the man I am." He rose through the ranks fast. Too fast. Vasco's coaches pushed him into older categories, forcing him to survive against boys who were physically stronger and often much bigger. 2022 was the year Andrey Santos went from promising to elite prospect. Vasco were in Serie B, fighting for promotion, and manager Zé Ricardo made a bold decision. He put an 18-year-old at the heart of the midfield, not as a kid to protect, but as a starter. Every week, home and away. Pressure or not, Andrey played. 33 league matches, 8 goals from midfield, countless defensive actions, ball recoveries, and leadership moments. On June 7th, 2022, he became the youngest goal scorer in Vasco's history, scoring the winner against Náutico. But it wasn't the goals that impressed Brazil, it was everything else. His box-to-box engine, his defensive tenacity, his ability to read danger before it happened, his willingness to lead at 18. People began comparing him to Casemiro, Michael Essien, Jude Bellingham, not because of hype, but because of what he was actually doing on the pitch. By the end of that season, he had helped drag Vasco back into Serie A and had become the face of their new generation. January 2023, Colombia, the South American U20 Championship. Brazil needed a leader. They handed the armband to an 18-year-old, Andrey Santos. This wasn't a team filled with unknowns. This Brazil U20 squad had big names, but the leader was the kid from Villa Alianza. He scored in the opener versus Peru, the Clásico versus Argentina, Ecuador, Colombia, Venezuela, and in the final versus Uruguay, he rose above everyone and scored a bullet header that sealed the title. He finished the tournament with 6 goals in 8 games, joint top scorer, best player of the tournament, captain of the champions. Every scout in Europe took note. Meanwhile, a deal had already happened. On 6 January 2023, before the tournament even kicked off, Vasco da Gama announced that Andrey Santos had joined Chelsea. Transfer fee, 12.5 million euros. A huge move for an 18-year-old midfielder. He flew to London, took the photos, walked through Stamford Bridge, and then didn't stay. Chelsea couldn't register him because he fell 1 point short of the UK work permit requirements. 1 point. So Chelsea fans barely saw him before he returned to Brazil. First to the U20 tournament, then back to Vasco on loan. He would score. He would lead. He would make his senior Brazil debut against Morocco in March 2023. And still, he wasn't allowed to play for the club that had just bought him. Modern football can be cruel. You can sign for a giant and still spend the next year in limbo. For Andrey, that was his reality. August 25th, 2023. Nottingham Forest announced the season-long loan signing of Andrey Santos from Chelsea, the club's 5th summer signing. "I am very happy and excited," he told Forest's website. "It has always been my dream to play in the Premier League." 19 years old, still waiting for his Chelsea debut. 5 days after signing, Santos made his Forest debut, EFL Cup, against Burnley. Forest lost 1-0. He played 45 minutes. Then he waited 59 days until his next appearance. October 29th, Anfield, Liverpool 3, Nottingham Forest 0. Santos came on as a late substitute, 19 minutes of Premier League football. That was it. 2 appearances in 4 months, 96 minutes of football. Then, on January 4th, 2024, Chelsea recalled him. Manager Steve Cooper later explained, "Everyone would have liked him to play more. He's a really good young player, but there aren't a load of players his age playing regularly in the Premier League." Translation? We sign players worth £50 million who do what he does. He never stood a chance. For Chelsea, who'd invested €12.5 million, 2 appearances weren't enough. But here's the problem. Forest wasn't the issue. The system was the issue. In the 2023-24 season, Chelsea had 43 players out on loan. 43, spread across 14 countries. From Vitesse to Venezia, from Strasbourg to Santos. Their combined market value? €248 million. Enough to buy a Champions League winning squad. Instead, scattered across the continent, most of them waiting for a chance that would never come. This is the Blueco model. Buy young, buy cheap relative to the market. Loan them out. Either they develop and return, or they develop and get sold for profit. Financial sustainability through volume. 26 days after the Forest recall, Santos was on a plane again. Destination, Strasbourg. Another loan, another language, another adaptation. RC Strasbourg, Alsace. Also owned by Blueco, Chelsea's so-called development partner. A place where young players could get minutes without the pressure of Stamford Bridge. Where mistakes wouldn't cost £50 million. Where a 20-year-old Brazilian could just play. February 8th, Strasbourg versus Lorient. Santos started, played 71 minutes, lost 3-1. His League One debut, but this time something different happened. He kept playing. 11 appearances for the rest of the season, 831 minutes, 1 goal, the winner in extra time against Metz in May, securing a 2-1 victory. Manager Patrick Vieira, yes, that Patrick Vieira, praised his great maturity beyond his age. Santos completed 86% of his passes, 1,018 progressive carrying yards, drew 24 fouls in just 11 games, and in March 2024, he was named League One Young Player of the Month. Finally, progress, minutes, development, the system working working as intended. Chelsea extended the loan for another full season. Santos would stay at Strasbourg for 2024-25. Under new manager Liam Rossignol, former Derby County and Hull City boss, the development would continue, and continue it did. 32 League One appearances, 10 goals, 3 assists. By March 2025, Santos ranked as the 8th highest rated player in Ligue 1. He had the most duels won in the entire league with 58. Only one midfielder, Auxerre's Hamed Junior Traore, had scored more goals than him. He ranked 10th in blocks with 35. 35! A midfielder, defensive enough to protect, attacking enough to score. Box to box in the truest sense. Rossignol told The Athletic, "Andrey is going to have a magnificent career. You forget how young some of them are. Andrey plays like he's 32. I call him Dunga. He's Brazilian, but he doesn't play like one. He's so smart, and his stats are through the roof. He's going to have an outstanding career." November 2024. Santos captained Strasbourg against Nice, 20 years old, wearing the armband. The youngest player in a Strasbourg side that fielded the youngest team in Ligue 1 in 75 years. 11 duels won, 7 tackles, 3 key passes, 100% long ball accuracy. Strasbourg lost 2-1, but Santos had proven something. He could lead, even at 20, even in a foreign country, even in his second language. By the time Chelsea's 2025-26 season began, the question wasn't whether Santos was ready, it was whether Chelsea had space for him. Enzo Fernandez, £106 million. Moises Caicedo, £115 million. Romeo Lavia, £58 million. Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, £30 million. £329 million spent on midfielders in 2 years. So where does a 12.5 million euro Brazilian fit into that equation? Where does development meet reality? Where does patience meet profit and loss? June 25th, 2025, 943 days after signing for Chelsea, Andrey Santos finally made his debut for them. FIFA Club World Cup against ES Tunis. Chelsea won 3-0. He played, he didn't score, he didn't assist, but he played for Chelsea, finally. October 29th, 2025, EFL Cup. Chelsea versus Wolverhampton Wanderers, 4-3. Santos scored his first Chelsea goal. By November 2025, he'd made 13 appearances for Chelsea across all competitions. 8 in the Premier League, 2 in the League Cup, 3 in continental competition. Still no Premier League starts, still deputizing, still waiting. Until today. Until Burnley. Until Enzo Maresca looked at his squad and decided, Caicedo needs rest. Santos, you're in. 1,045 days, 3 countries, 4 clubs, 45 appearances on loan. Finally, a Premier League start for the club that signed him, the club that believed in him enough to buy him, not enough to play him. Until today. Turf Moor, November 22nd, 2025. The kind of fixture that separates pretenders from contenders. Post-international break, away from home, against a relegation-threatened side desperate for points. Moises Caicedo, Chelsea's £115 million defensive shield, on the bench. Romeo Lavia still injured. In his place, Andrey Santos. Barcelona in 3 days, Arsenal in 9. This was the audition nobody asked for, but everyone would remember. Burnley started like a team with nothing to lose. High press, direct balls over the top, physicality. Chelsea struggled to string passes together, couldn't hit accurate long balls, barely posed any danger. 6th minute, Burnley counterattack. Santos reads it, stays with his man, puts in a heavy block. First contribution, won't be his last. For 30 minutes, this was survival football. Trevoh Chalobah, Marc Cucurella, and Santos putting in critical blocks in one-on-one defending. No rhythm, no flow, just grit. Then, the 37th minute, Cucurella's hold-up play created space. Jamie Gittins whipped in an excellent cross to the far post. Pedro Neto, diving header, 1-0 Chelsea. One moment of quality, that's all it took. But holding on to it, that would require something different. Second half, Chelsea controlled possession, 58% to Burnley's 42%, but control isn't safety, not with a 1-goal lead at Turf Moor. This is where Santos made his case. Defensively, he was a brick wall, shutting down attacks and stifling efforts on goal. Every 50-50 ball, every second ball, every moment Burnley tried to build momentum, Santos was there. 42 passes completed, 81% accuracy, 7 duels 1 out of 10, 2 successful tackles, 4 interceptions, 4 clearances, 4 recoveries, 1 block shot, 16 defensive contributions in total. The biggest compliment that could be paid? Moises Caicedo wasn't missed. Maresca later said, "Andrey is doing very good. Today is a tough game. He is not playing much. I am very happy." 88th minute. Mark Gu's brilliant work set up Enzo Fernandez, who smashed it home from close range. 2-0. Game over. Full 90 minutes, a Premier League start, clean sheet, victory, second place in the table. Santos told reporters, "I'm so happy to play 90 minutes and help my teammates, but I think the most important is the victory. My teammates helped me a lot. I think it's easy for me to play with the other players." Pedro Neto was more effusive. He was unbelievable. The fight that he had in the middle of the pitch, the quality that he had to secure second balls, to take the ball away from the pressure. We need these kinds of things. Fans are saying on Twitter, man of the match. Bossed the midfield like he owned the turf. What a performance by Andrey Santos. His best game for us in his young career. And MOTM today helping give Caicedo's needed rest. Santos might be living in Caicedo's shadow, but today he showed his levels. World-class performance. But let's be clear about what this was and what it wasn't. This wasn't Santos arriving as Chelsea's next great midfielder. This was Santos doing exactly what was asked of him in a specific tactical situation against a specific opponent. Burnley managed just 1 shot on target, 7 shot attempts total. Barcelona on Tuesday, Arsenal next Sunday. Those are different tests entirely. Different intensity, different quality, different expectations. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Even after this performance, Santos isn't first choice. Caicedo was rested specifically for Barcelona. Maresca made the brave decision to rest Caicedo and start Santos. Brave because it was calculated, because it was temporary. £115 million doesn't sit on the bench for long. Not at Chelsea, not under this ownership. When everyone's fit, when the fixtures matter most, Caicedo plays. That's the reality. But maybe that's not the point. Maybe the point is that for one afternoon in Burnley, a 21-year-old who'd been loaned to 3 different clubs in 3 different countries proved he could deputize at the highest level. That when called upon, he delivered. Player ratings ranged from 7.5 to 8 out of 10. Not perfect, but more than adequate. More than anyone expected, honestly. The question now isn't whether Santos can play for Chelsea. He answered that today. The question is whether Chelsea will give him the chance to keep answering it. Today, Chelsea gave him those 90 minutes, and he delivered. Not perfectly, not spectacularly, but solidly, professionally, with the kind of maturity that makes you forget he's only 21. Europe should be paying attention, not because Santos is the next Essien or the next Casemiro or the next anyone, because he's the first Andrey Santos, a player who's earned everything the hard way, who's learned 3 systems in 3 countries, who's scored goals in Brazil, France, and now England, who's proven he can defend like a 6 and attack like an 8.